Hello, everybody. You and any others that would like to learn the way of the craft. And just to let you all know, I finally have some kind of a schedule together. And today, being Wednesday, is going to be the day of the week from now on that I'm going to commit myself to reading a chapter from this book every Wednesday between the hours of 12 and 3. And it's like 3:15 now, so close enough. If you want to see the other 3 lessons, you may have to go into my other YouTube channel, which is Janelle Mabius. At least 2 of them should be there, and I think one of them is on my Janet Mabius one here. I'll have to go back and look. But from now on, I'll try to make sure it's just this one channel that I do these particular things on, so people can just stick with one channel and go through as they need to. So, lesson 4. Rites of passage. A rite of passage is a transition from one state of life to another. Birth, marriage, and death are examples. Van Gennep, a Flemish anthropologist, was the first to label such rituals in 1909. The main rite of passage that you will be concerned with is that of initiation. It is important that you be aware and have some understanding of the different parts of the initiation ritual and its symbolism. In its most general sense, initiation denotes a body of rites and oral teachings arranged to bring about a very definite change in both the religious and the social status of the person undergoing the ritual. There is a catharsis, a spiritual cleansing. The person becomes, in effect, another person. The central theme of an initiation, any initiation, whether it be witchcraft, primitive, tribal, or even Christian in form, is what is termed a paleogenesis, a rebirth. You are ending life as you have known it to this point and are being born again and reborn with new knowledge. All initiation rituals follow the same basic pattern, and this is worldwide. Australian, Aboriginals, Africans, Amerindians, Eskimos, Pacific Islanders, witches, Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans, to name but a few. All include the same basic elements in their rites. First comes a separation. With many people, this is a literal separation from friends and especially from family, from all they have known so far. Often there is a special hut, cave, or building of some sort where the novices are taken. There they begin their training. A cleansing, externally and internally, is the next important part. With some cultures, this might include complete removal of all body hair. It would certainly include a period or periods of fasting and of sexual abstinence. In certain areas, there are also various dietary taboos prior to fasting. A symbolic death is one of the major parts of initiation, though some primitives do not realize that it will be only symbolic and fully expect to actually be put to death. With some tribes, it does include actual dismemberment, perhaps circumcision, tattooing, the amputation of a finger, or the knocking out of a tooth. Ritual scourging is another more common symbolic form of death, or the death could take the form of a monster, perhaps the tribe's totem animal swallowing the initiate. After death, the initiate then finds himself or herself in the womb, awaiting a new birth. In some societies, the initiate is in a hut that represents the world. The initiate is at its center. He or she inhabits a sacred microcosm. The initiate is in the Chthonian Great Mother or Mother Earth. There are innumerable myths of great heroes, gods, and goddesses descending into Mother Earth and triumphantly returning. Within that earth womb, they invariably find great knowledge, for it is often the home of the dead, who traditionally can see into the future and therefore know all things. Therefore, the initiates, by virtue of being in the womb, will learn new knowledge. This is underscored in the Congo, for example, where those who have not been initiated are called Vanga, the unenlightened, and those who have been initiated are the Naganga, the knowing ones. After receiving this new knowledge, the initiate is reborn. If he or she has been swallowed by a monster, he or she may either be born from it or disgorged from its mouth. The mouth is often a substitute for the vagina. In some African tribes, a male initiate will crawl out from between the legs of the women of the village, who stand in a long line. He is now given a new name and starts his new life. Interestingly enough, there are several parallels of this renaming to be found in the Roman Catholic Church. A new name is taken at confirmation. On becoming a nun, a woman takes a new name is given to a newly elected pope. On excavating at Pompeii, there was found a villa named the Villa of Mysteries. This was where everyone in ancient Italy originally went to be initiated into the Orphic Mysteries. In the initiation room itself, there are free frescoes painted around the walls showing a woman going through the various stages of initiation. In this instance, the symbolic death was a scourging. Part of the revelation of knowledge came from the initiated scrying with a polished bowl. The final scene shows her naked, dancing in celebration of her new birth. The scenes are typical of the paleogenesis of initiation. The full initiation into witchcraft contains all the above elements. There is not quite the literal separation at the start, but you will, of course, have separated yourself from others in the sense of absorbing yourself in your studies of the craft. You will also spend much time alone, meditating on what you are about to undertake. You will cleanse yourself by bathing and fasting. Only bread, honey, and water are allowed for 24 hours prior to the actual initiation, and by sexual abstinence. At the ritual itself, rather than any rigorous symbolic death or dismemberment, you will experience a blindfolding and binding, which symbolize the darkness and restriction of the womb. As you are born, these restrictions will fall from you. You will gain new knowledge as certain things are revealed to you, and then receive a new name. You will be welcomed to your new life by your brothers and sisters of the craft. The full initiation is a very moving experience. Many claim it to be the most moving of their entire lives. The usual process is that you find a coven and, after a trial period, are accepted into it and initiated. But supposing you are starting from scratch, a group of friends who are going to form their own coven and basically start their own tradition. How does the first person get initiated so that she or he can initiate the others? Similarly, if you are a solitary not wanting to join a group, how do you go about it? The answer is through self initiation. Some years ago, the majority of witches, myself included, frowned on the very idea of self initiation. We did not stop to think of one, what might have been done in the old times for those living miles from any coven, or two, how did the first witch get initiated? Today, some of us, at any rate, are more enlightened. The self dedication is exactly that. It is a dedicating of oneself to the service of the gods. It does not contain all the elements we have mentioned above, but is nonetheless a moving experience. A full coven, a full coven initiation may always be taken at a later date, if you so desire, of course. But note that it would not be mandatory, just a matter of personal preference. A question often asked is, how valid is self initiation? To some traditions, it is not valid at all. though one might question the whole validity of those traditions themselves. Certainly, you could not self initiate yourself as a Gardnerian, for example, but the point here is how valid is it to you? If you are sincere, if you wish to become a witch and to worship the old gods, if you have no ulterior motives, it is valid. And do not listen to anyone who says it is not. Obviously, if you want to be part of a particular tradition and that tradition has its set initiation rite, as with Gardnerian, as I just mentioned, then you must go through that particular rite to join that tradition. But no one tradition has the right to say what is correct or incorrect for another. It seems to me that far too many people get hung up on a line of descent, who initiated whom and through whom, rather than getting on with the business of worship. One of the oldest of the modern traditions is the Gardnerian, and that, in its present form, is only about 35 years old. As of this writing, not very old when we look at the whole picture of witchcraft. So, if a Gardnerian initiation, for example, can be considered valid, then so can yours. Circles. Roman ambassadors in a foreign country would draw a circle around themselves with a staff to show they should be safe from attack. The Babylonians drew a circle of flour on the floor around the bed of a sick man to keep demons away. German Jews in the Middle Ages would draw a circle around the bed of a woman in labor to protect her from evil spirits. The use of a circle to mark the boundary of an area that is sacred is very ancient, like Stonehenge. But the circle not only keeps the unwanted out, it also keeps the wanted, the raised power, the magical energy in. The dimensions of the circle depend entirely on who is drawing it and for what purpose. In ceremonial magic, where the magician is conjuring entities, the exactness of the circle and everything within it is critical. But there is the other end of the scale. As it were, in the old days, when the villagers would get together to give thanks to their gods, they would simply mark a rough circle on the ground, usually very crudely drawn, and use it whether accurate or not. Its purpose was merely to designate a space to be hallowed for the rites, a place special for that purpose. Your circle does not have to be as painstakingly accurate as the ceremonial magicians, um, yet it is drawn with a certain amount of care and exactness. The coven circle is 9 feet in diameter. The individual circle is 5 feet. The drawing of the circle starts and finishes in the east and is always drawn clockwise or diasil. If you are meeting outdoors, then the circle is actually marked on the ground with the sword as the priest or priestess walks around. Indoors, the circle should first be marked on the floor with a length of white cord with chalk, or if you have a permanent temple, it can be painted in white paint. But the priest or priestess will still walk around with the sword, starting and finishing in the east, marking and directing power into it through the point of the sword. Sorry, I just had to take a break for a minute there. This is a lot of reading. On the line of the circle stand 4 white unlit candles, one in the north, one in the east, one in the south, and one in the west. If you wish, there may be additional candles already lit between these four. They should stand around the circle, but outside the line. They would be there purely for extra illumination if required. The first ritual performed always is what in Saxon witchcraft is called erecting the temple. Other traditions call it variously opening the circle, casting the circle, or a similar title. In this ritual, the circle and all within it is properly purified, and consecrated. For now, I will just deal with casting a circle sufficient for your self dedication and initiation. Presuming that you have not yet even made your athame, this casting is of the most basic. You will need your altar furniture, candle, censer, goblet, or drinking horn, salt and water, libation dish, and, if you wish, figures representing the desires. There should be there should be wine in the goblet. It's raining outside today, so that is not helping with the sleepiness. It's hard to keep going with these different sections because the rain makes me tired, makes me sleepy. Self dedication. This ritual should be performed during the waxing moon, as close to the full moon as possible. For the ritual, I would suggest you be completely naked, wearing no jewelry of any kind. Along with the rest of the altar furniture, there should be a small dish of anointing oil standing between the water and the salt. The altar is set up in the center so that when you stand in front of it, you are facing east. The circle is indicated by cord, chalk, or paint about you. Sit or kneel before the altar with your eyes closed. Concentrate your thoughts on seeing in your mind's eye. Yourself enclosed in a ball of white light. Direct your energies to make that light expand to completely fill the circle. Hold it for a moment and then relax. Opening your eyes, stand and move to the east. Point your right forefinger left if left handed down at the circle line. Walk slowly around the circle DSL, drawing the circle through the power being directed down your arm and off your pointing finger. When you have been all the way around, return to the altar, light the altar candle and the incense. Now take the altar candle and, moving around the altar, light the east candle from the altar candle. Continue and light the south, west, and north candles. Continue on back to the east, then back to standing in front of the altar, and replace the altar candle. Now again, concentrate your energies down your arm and finger and place the tip of your finger in the salt and say, "Salt is life. Let this salt be pure, and let it purify my life as I use it in this rite, dedicated to the God and Goddess in whom I believe." Now take 3 pinches of the salt and drop them, one at a time, into the water. Stir the water 3 times around DSL with your finger and say, "Let the sacred salt drive out any impurities in this water, that together they may be used in the service of these deities. Throughout these rites and at any time and in any way I may use them." Take the bowl of salted water to the east, and walking DSL sprinkle it out on the line of the circle. Replace it on the altar. Take out the censer, um, and again from the east, go around the circle once more, swinging the incense burner along its line. Return to the altar and replace it and say, the sacred circle is about me. I am here of my own free will and accord, in peace and in love. Dip your forefinger into the salted water and mark a cross in a circle on your forehead in the position of the third eye between the eyebrows. Then mark a pentagram on your chest over your heart and say, I now invite the gods to witness this rite I hold in their honor. Hold your hand with finger pointing up, high in salute, as you now say, God and Goddess, Lord and Lady, Father and Mother of all life, guard me and guide me within this circle and without it in all things. So mote it be. Kiss your hand to the Lord and the Lady, then take up the goblet and spill a little of the wine on the ground or into the libation dish as an offering to the gods with the words, the Lord and the Lady. Take a drink and then replace the goblet on the altar with the words, now is the temple erected. I shall not leave it, but with good reason, so be it. Sit or kneel before the altar, head bowed, and meditate for a few minutes on the God and the Goddess, the craft and what the old religion means to you. Then stand and lift both hands high above the altar and say, Lord and Lady, hear me now. I am here, a simple pagan, holding thee in honor. Far have I journeyed and long have I searched, seeking that which I desire. Above all things, I am of the trees and of the fields. I am of the woods and of the springs, the streams and the hills. I am of thee and thee of me. Lower your arms. Grant me that which I desire. Permit me to worship the gods and all that the gods represent. Make me a lover of life in all things. Well do I know the creed that if I do not have that spark of love within me, then will I never find it without me. Love is the law, and love is the bond. All this I honor above aught else. Kiss your right hand and hold it high. My lord and lady, here do I stand before you, naked and unadorned, to dedicate myself to thine honor. Ever will I protect you and that which is yours. Let none speak ill of you, forever will I defend you. You are my life, and I am yours. From this day forth, I accept and will ever abide by the wicked reed, and it harm none. Do what thou wilt, so be it. Take up the goblet and slowly pour the remaining of the wine onto the ground, saying, as this wine drains from the goblet or horn, so sometimes people use a drinking horn, so let the blood drain from my body, should I ever do aught to harm the gods, or those in kinship with their love, so mote it be. Dip your forefinger in the oil and again make the sign of the cross in a circle on your third eye and the pentagram over your heart. Then also touch the oil to your genitals, right breast nipple, left breast nipple, and then genitals again. This last forms the sacred triangle, symbolizing the drawing of power up from the root of that power. And then you say, as a sign of my rebirth, I take unto myself a new name. Henceforth I shall be known as, for intents and purposes I'll use mine, Lady Belpania for my life within the craft. So mote it be. Now sit comfortably and with eyes closed, meditate on what the craft means to you. It may well be that at this time you will receive some indication that you are indeed in touch with the gods, but whether you do or not, just let your feelings for them and for the old religion flow from your body, luxuriate in the feeling of coming home, of having finally become one with the old religion. When you have finished meditating, if you feel like if you feel like singing or dancing or celebrating in any other way, go ahead and do so. Then when you are ready, stand and raise both hands high and say, I thank the gods for their attendance as I came here in love of them. I now go my way. Love is the law and love is the bond, so be it. The temple is now closed. The above is adapted from the Sioux Wicca rite of self-dedication. Man, I may have to take me a break here soon, and I'll try to at least get through this lesson before I do. But make me something to eat and take me a stack or three. It's it's over the counter um, diet pill basically. It's a an appetite suppressant, and it also is a serious shot of caffeine, basically capsulated caffeine, you might as well say. And I can get them. Ooh, ooh. Oh, sorry, like I said, this weather makes me tired. I can get them for $1 a pack, and you get 4 in each pack. And I usually get mine from Dollar Tree because they have them up there by the register. Otherwise, all the little brats and thugs of the neighborhood and area would be stealing them. Although I have not yet given the full details of the regular erecting the temple ritual, nor have you consecrated your tools, I will divert for a moment to follow this self dedication with a full coven initiation ceremony for the sake of completeness on this subject. Next lesson, I will continue from where I have left off here. Coven initiation. As with all of the rituals in this workbook, they are presented as patterns, blueprints that you may either adopt or adapt. You will see that this initiation rite contains all of the elements I have previously discussed. If you decide to write your own, I urge you to follow the general pattern. In this ceremony, I have written it as for a priest initiating a female. It can obviously be adapted for reversal of the roles. In virtually all traditions, male initiates female and female initiates male. It is usual for the initiate to be naked in this rite. If the coven usually works naked, then, of course, this is fine. However, if the coven is usually robed, then the initiate should either be the only one naked or should wear a robe that can be opened down the front as when indicated, as and when indicated. Even robed covens usually wear nothing under their robes. The initiation can take place with all the coven present, with only the priest and priestess and initiate, or with priest, priestess, one or two assistants, and the initiate. The coven should decide which method they prefer. The below ritual is written for priest, priestess, two assistants, whom I shall call maiden and squire, and initiate. In addition to the usual altar furniture, there is a dish of anointing oil between the water and the salt, and a red 9-foot length of cord, and a blindfold on the altar. The priestess goddess crown and the priest's horn helmet rest beside the altar. The initiate wears no jewelry of any kind, nor makeup, and waits in a room outside the temple room. Anointing will be done as described in the self dedication. A Celtic cross in a circle is drawn slightly above and between the eyes, in the position of the third eye. A pentagram is drawn over the heart. An inverted triangle is marked by touching the genitals, right breast, left breast, and genitals again. The erecting the temple ritual is performed in the usual manner. The bell is rung 3 times. Priestess, let there be none who suffer loneliness, none who are friendless and without brother or sister, for all may find love and peace within the circle. Priest, with open arms the Lord and Lady welcome all. Squire, I bring news of one who has traveled far, seeking that which we enjoy. Maiden, long has been her journey, but now she feels an end is near. Priest, of whom do you speak? Hang on, got to turn the page here. Squire, of she who, even now, waits outside our temple, seeking entry. Priestess, who caused her to come here. Maiden, she came herself of her own free will. Priest, what does she seek? Maiden, she seeks to become one with the Lord and the Lady. She seeks to join with us in our worship of them. Priestess, who can vouch for this person? Squire, I can. As her teacher, I have shown her the ways, pointed her in the right direction, and set her feet upon the path. But she has chosen to take this step, and now bids you give her entrance. Priest, can she be brought before us? Squire, indeed she can. Priestess, then let it be so. Squire takes cord and athame. Maiden takes blindfold and candle. They go clockwise around the circle to the east, and there exit the circle. They go out of the temple to the initiate. Maiden blindfolds her, while Squire binds her, with initiate between them. They approach the door to the temple room. Squire bangs on door with handle of athame. Priest, who knocks? Squire, we return with one who would join our number. Priestess, what is her name? Initiate, my name is Janelle, just for this purpose. I beg entry. Priestess, enter this, our temple. The three enter the temple room and stand outside the circle in the east. Maiden holds the candle, Squire the athame. The bell is rung once. Priest, Janelle, why do you come here? Initiate, which is Janelle, to worship the gods in whom I believe, and to become one with them and with my brothers and sisters of the craft. Priestess, what do you bring with you? Initiate, I bring nothing but my true self, naked and unadorned. Priestess, then I bid you enter this our circle of worship and magic. Squire admits them to the circle. They stand just within, still in the east. Priest and priestess move around to them. Priest carrying the censer, and priestess the salted water. Priest, to enter this our sacred circle, I here duly consecrate you in the names of the god and the goddess. If initiate is robed, the priestess opens the robe while the priest sprinkles and censes her, then closes it again. Priest and priestess return to the altar, followed by squire, initiate, and maiden. Priest and priestess stand in front of altar, while squire and maiden move around to far side, opposite, with initiate between them. They face priest and priestess. Bell is rung twice. Priestess, I speak now for the lady. Why are you here? Initiate, I am here to become one with the Lord and the lady, to join in worship of them. Priest, I am he who speaks for the Lord. Who made you come here? Initiate, none made me come, for I am here of my own choosing. Priest, do you wish an end to the life you have known so far? Initiate, I do. Priest, then so be it. With his athame, Squire cuts a lock of initiate's hair and throws it on the censer. Squire and maiden lead initiate around circle to the east. Maiden, hearken all ye at the east gate. Here is one who would join us. Welcome her and bring her joy. They move on to the south. Squire, hearken all ye at the south gate. Here is one who would join us. Welcome her and bring her joy. They move on to the west. Maiden, hearken all ye at the west gate. Here is one who would join us. Welcome her and bring her joy. They move on to the north. Squire, hearken all ye at the north gate. Here is one who would join us. Welcome her and bring her joy. Squire and maiden lead initiate back to stand behind altar again, facing priest and priestess. Priest and priestess place their crowns on their heads and, taking up their athames, stand side by side with their right arms holding the athames high in salute. Squire rings bell 3 times. Maiden, now then, must you face those whom you seek. Maiden removes initiate's blindfold. Maiden, behold, in these two priests do we see the gods, and in that know that we and they are the same. Squire, as we need the gods, so do the gods need us. Priest, I am he who speaks for the god, yet are you and I equal. Priestess, I am she who speaks for the goddess, yet are you and I equal. Priest and priestess lower their athames and present the blades to the initiate, who kisses the blades. Initiate, I salute the Lord and the lady as I salute those who represent them. I pledge my love and support to them and to my brothers and sisters of the craft. Priest, know you the Wiccan reed? Initiate, I do, and it harm none. Do what thou wilt. Priestess, and do you abide by that reed? Initiate, I do. Priest, well said. Let your bonds be loosed, that ye may be reborn. Squire unties cord. Maiden leads initiate around to stand between priest and priestess. Maiden then returns to her place beside squire. Priestess, that you may start life afresh, it is only meet and right that you start with a name of your own choosing. Have you such a name? Initiate, I have. It is, and just for the purposes of this, Lady Belpania. Priest, then shall you be known by that name henceforth by your brothers and sisters of the craft. Priest takes up anointing oil. If initiate is robed, priestess opens robe. Priest anoints, cross, pentagram, and triangle, and says, Priest, with this sacred oil I anoint and cleanse thee, giving new life to one of the children of the gods. From this day forth you shall be known as Lady Belpania, within this circle and without it, to all your brothers and sisters of the craft. So mote it be. And everyone says, so mote it be. Priestess, now you are truly one of us. As one of us, will you share our knowledge of the gods and of the arts of healing, of divination, of magic, and of all the mystic arts. These shall you learn as you progress. Priest, but we caution you ever to remember the Wiccan rede, and it harm none. Do what thou will. Priestess, and it harm none. Do what thou will. Come now, Lady Belpania, and meet your kindred. Initiate salutes. Priest and priestess then moves around to salute and greet all the others in the circle. If the initiation has been taking place without the other coven members being present, they now return to the circle to join the celebrants. If it is the coven custom to present a newcomer with any gift, this may be done at this time. Bell is rung 3 times. Priest, now is it truly a time for celebration. Feasting and merriment follow until the temple is closed. Next lesson, you will consecrate your tools so that they may be used in future rituals. Now, let me pause for a minute here and say, for the purposes of it being in the book and because it is going to be in the questions, that's the first time that I have read the initiation out loud. I'm not saying that that initiation is bad. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but it's not for everybody. If that was truly me seeking entrance into a coven, I would not be skyclad, nor would I be comfortable being in a coven full of skyclad people, because to me, it's just, it don't feel right. It's uncomfortable. So you don't necessarily have to go through any of that. If you decide to be a solitary practitioner, all the better. Because in my opinion, all you really need is one other person to help with the initiation, or you could do a self-initiation. That's what I did. I did a self-dedication from one of my other books, my Wicca Solitary Practitioner Guide by Scott Cunningham, and I did a self-initiation the same way. So just because it's in the book doesn't mean you have to do it that way, because not everybody is okay with being skyclad for any reason. I am certainly one of those. So, and so the binding, because they show you the diagram of how the person is supposed to be bound, and it's just around the hands, and then you put the blindfold around the eyes, obviously. Some other traditions I've read in other books, they will wrap somebody really tight or significantly tight, and then they kind of wiggle their way out of the blanket or whatever, and that symbolizes rebirth, or what we all go through when we're actually born of our mothers, when we're the little tiny baby, and all that. So I just wanted to clarify that, and therefore I'm not going to show you the diagrams because they are of nude people. And again, I'm not saying that that's bad, but it just happens to be something that I'm not comfortable with. I would never do. So if somebody asked me to initiate them, I would feel much better if we sat down together and, I could give some suggestions, certainly, of a type of initiation, but it would not be this one. If the initiate would like a certain, to be initiated in a certain way, then by all means, let us sit down together and figure out what type of initiation you want, because this is about you joining the craft if you so choose. It has to be of your own free will and choice. Don't feel, forced to do it, coerced, or anything like that. If it feels right in here, deeply in your heart, and it feels right up here, To me, that's really all you need. The god and goddess don't care that you stand skyclad in front of a bunch of people and whatever if you're not comfortable with that. So I just wanted to get that out of there. That's the end of this chapter, though. So now we go on to the questions. The first set of questions. There's two sets of questions for each chapter. The first set of questions, it just says lesson 4 questions. Let me see how many are there. Okay, well that's weird. There's only two two in the first section of questions. Oh Lord, this stuff's old. It's literally falling apart. This was an old cord, a little crochet piece I did a long time ago. I was using it as a bookmark. Next set of questions for lesson 4 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. Okay, so back to the first two. Freaking loose hair. Number 1, how did you prepare yourself for the initiation? Number 2, if you are joining an existing coven, describe the members, priest and priestess, and goals of that coven. Why are you joining that particular coven? Gosh, dang it. Freaking loose hair. I swear I shed like a cat. They have goals for coven. So again, that's only if you join a coven. You don't have to join a coven to be a witch. You don't have to join a coven to be recognized and acknowledged as a witch. There are many solitaires out there. I'm one of them. Can you still go to coven functions? Sure. I just went to one Sunday. I don't know if they really consider themselves a coven, but it's basically just a group of gitches, a group of witches that got together to celebrate Ostara, which is March 21st. But because of different conflicting, schedules and, different people work jobs and stuff, so they sometimes can't do the rituals exactly on the particular day. I prefer to, but we went, me and a couple of friends, we went Sunday and it was fine. It was a lot of fun. Okay, examination questions for lesson 4. Number 1, what is the term used for the central theme of initiation? Number 2, describe briefly the general pattern of initiation. Number 3, what is the meaning of the blindfolding and binding? Number 4, what is the Wiccan reed and what does it mean? Number 5, is it usual for a woman to initiate another woman? Number 6, write a short essay on what the craft means to you and why you want to be a part of it. And that, my friends, is lesson 4, as promised. Now I can go into my scheduling book and put a check mark beside lesson 4 so I know I did it. Okay. Okay, now this Thursday, so, no, what am I talking about? Tomorrow, I will be doing a daily card reading, one card from a random deck, because I'm going to get out my whole box of decks. I'm going to randomly pick one, and that's what I'll do the card reading out of. I will do my daily card, because for now, that's all I really can do. But if somebody like Kirsty, if you can make it to one of my live streams in the future on a Thursday when I'm doing the daily card and you would like me to do one for you, I will ask you, would you like me to do a daily card for you? And if you say yes, then I will read it out loud to you while the live stream's going on. Now, Friday, I'm going to be doing Wicca Chapter 1, and that'll be from my Solitary Practitioner Guide, which I'll show you what the book looks like. I can't right now. Look it up. It's by Scott Cunningham. It's a green and black cover. It's got a little square that has a little nature scene. The letters are written on the front of the book in green. There's white letters on the front as well. You can't miss it. It's a very common one. So let's see. Tomorrow will be the daily card. And I have decided until or unless at a future time I change things, that the hours between 12 and 3 is what I'm going to stick with, whatever I'm doing, whether it's nature cards on a Monday, Buckland's Blue Book on a Wednesday, the Wicca's book on a Thursday, on a Tuesday, Wiccan Rituals, Thursday, of course, daily card reading, Saturday and Sunday off, meaning I'm not doing nothing on either of those days. This is also an experiment, and I'm trying to kind of get a feel for, does this time slot work for me? Does this time slot work for others? Do they like that, oh, I like that you do the nature cards on Mondays, or I like the cards, the thing that you do on Thursdays. Give me a comment, like the video, let me know that it meant something to you and that it did help you to learn something. But just let me say in conclusion that all the God and Goddess truly care about is what feels right to you. No, nope. And I didn't tell her that I was on because, one, I didn't know if she would get the message, and two, I'm trying to not add to even more stress because, she just saw me the other day on Ostara. So, but the God and Goddess really don't care about, you don't have to do an initiation a certain way just because it says that's the way to do it in a book. That's just one way of doing things. But give it some thought. Think about what you would like as your initiation, or if you want to do a self-dedication, that can be done too, because that is something in the Wicca book that I have read, the Solitary Practitioner Guide. So I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know that I'll be able to do it today. I know this video is quite short, but I got to get something to eat, and I need to get an idea of some other things that maybe I may want to do in the future. But if this schedule seems to work out and I'm okay with it and I get myself into a routine of doing it, then that's the way I will do it. I will commit to it. But then if there's going to be a week that goes by that I'm like, you know what, guys, or a particular day, I'm not feeling it today, I'm sorry, then I'll just try to do it like the following Monday or the following Wednesday or whatever. Give myself a couple of days to get out of my, bad mood, or, I'm having a crappy day. And when you're having a crappy day, it's kind of hard to get on here and do a live stream and be positive, and be able to keep yourself awake too, certainly. But, just let's go from here. And thank you all for watching. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for listening. Leave me a comment, smash the like button, subscribe to my channels, and hit the bell icon, of course, so that you will always be alerted when I am doing a future live stream. And this is just one of my little tie strips hanging from my pants that I'm wearing. So blessed be, y'all. This is my witchy sign. Love yous.